Hey everyone, let's take you through Units 3, 4, and 5 of AP Euro, covering from 1648 to 1850. A lot happened during this time, from absolute monarchs to major revolutions, so let's dive in. We start with the basics. Absolutism is when a single ruler has all the power, no limits, no questions. Usually they say all their power comes from God. On the flip side, constitutionalism limits power. It's the idea that rulers have to follow laws and that the individual rights should be protected. Absolute monarchs did a few key things to stay in power. They claimed divine right, like God chose me to rule. They took control of religion, like Louis XIV taking over the Church of France. They built the economy with mercantilism to grow national wealth, and they built huge militaries to control people and expand. Speaking of Louis XIV, he's a classic absolute monarch. He moved the French government to Versailles, partly to keep the nobles under control. He also took away religious freedoms by revoking the Edicts of Nantes. Then there's Peter the Great in Russia. He modernized the country, made a new capital in St. Petersburg, and took control of the Russian Orthodox Church. England went a different route. People feared King James II was becoming too powerful and too Catholic, so Parliament invited William and Mary to take over. James ran off to France, and England became a constitutional monarchy. More power to Parliament, less to the king. It was called glorious because it was mostly bloodless.
The Bill of Rights was a huge deal. William and Mary agreed to it before taking the throne. It limited the monarchy's power and gave Parliament and citizens a lot more to say, things like free elections and fair trials. It's one of the key documents in British constitutional history. The Dutch Golden Age was a time when the Netherlands was crushing in trade, science, and art. They were a small country but had a huge global presence. Eventually, their power faded because of wars and competition, but it was a major cultural moment. The price revolution was all about inflation. Prices across Europe rose over a long time, which affected everyone. Then came the agricultural revolution, with crop rotation, better tools, and new farming techniques. It increased food production, which helped Europe's population grow and led to urbanization later on.
Now into Unit 4, the Scientific and Enlightenment period. Secularism meant separating religion from government, focusing more on real-world issues. Natural religion was the idea that God's laws are found in nature, so you could understand them through science, not just scripture. During this time, people started believing in reason, science, and personal freedoms more than ever before. These ideas shaped society, religion, and government moving forward. John Locke was huge here. He believed religious freedoms was a basic right. Countries started adopting laws for tolerance, like the Toleration Act in England and similar ones in France and Austria. Religion became more personal, less about public control. Baroque was the art style of the time. Big, dramatic, emotional. You can see it in the paintings like Las Meninas, in cantata music, and in buildings like Versailles. Eventually, styles changed. Rococo was a lighter, more playful, and focused on private life. Neoclassicism was inspired by ancient Greece and Rome. Clean lines, reason, order. This shift reflects the bigger cultural move away from royal power and toward the Enlightenment thinking. Nationalism grew out of the Enlightenment and the French Revolution. It was about liberty, equality, and brotherhood. Napoleon helped spread these ideas. People in places like Germany started feeling a national identity, especially when resisting his rule.
Here's a deeper look at the agricultural revolution. Farmers used crop rotation, new tools like a drill seed, and better breeding methods. The Enclosure Acts turned common land into private farms. All this made farming more productive, which meant more food, more people, and more workers moving to cities. With more food and better health, Europe's population exploded. Smallpox vaccines and cleaner water helped reduce death rates. Cities still had problems such as overcrowding and disease, but epidemics became less deadly over time. People started buying more stuff, porcelain, mirrors, and fabrics, for example, to show their social status. Coffee houses, theaters, and libraries became popular hangout places. Family life changed too. People married later, kids were seen more as individuals, and education became more important. As cities grew, so did problems, slums, crime, and poverty being examples. Some people thought industrialization was great for growth, others said it was creating misery, but it did give Europe a new kind of workforce.
Now in Unit 5, global trade really took off. Joint stock companies and mercantilism fueled colonial competition. Mother countries profited off their colonies, especially with trade laws like the Navigation Acts. Britain rose to global power, especially after beating France in the 7 Years' War. They used their navy to dominate India and the Americas. The Treaty of Paris gave them control of huge territories, including much of North America. The French Revolution started because of money problems, unfair taxes, and food shortages. In the liberal phase, people called for rights, freedom of speech, and a new government. The radical phase came later, with Louis XVI executed and Robespierre leading the Reign of Terror. The revolution officially ended when Napoleon took power in 1799. He introduced reforms like the Napoleonic Code, but also became a dictator. Still, the revolution inspired other movements in Haiti, Latin America, and even other parts of Europe.
After Napoleon, European leaders met at the Congress of Vienna to restore order. Their goal was to balance power and prevent future revolutions. They mostly tried to bring back monarchies and redraw borders. Romanticism came as a reaction to the Enlightenment thinking. It focused on emotion, nature, and the individual. Artists and writers explored mystery, exotic places, and intense feelings, kind of the opposite of logic and reason. Napoleon rose to the military, took power in a coup, and declared himself emperor. He expanded French rule across Europe, but failed in Russia. He was exiled, came back, and was finally defeated at Waterloo in 1815.
Thanks for watching.